Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beef. We're not only talking about everyday problems, we talk about everyday solutions. Hey, James.
Hey, Bob. What's going on?
Feels like we just did this.
Chatted. Yeah.
Because we
were just here. Yeah,
using the wrong microphone.
Yeah. It didn't connect automatically to my microphone, so we had to restart up again. So,
was it off to a good start?
Yeah, it was.
Well, okay, let's pick it up.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody knows. Okay, we said two things.
Schedule
One
change.
is that schedule change. Yeah,
Yep.
so we are going to be changing the schedule of our programming here. So we always record these on Thursdays, and we have been as much as 3 weeks, delay. And now, I think we're up to at least a week delay, but we want to be more current. So we're going to record on Thursdays, release on Tuesdays.
Yep.
And that means that this Tuesday is going to be a catch-up day. So you're going to get 2 episodes on Tuesday. So when you're watching this, be sure to go back and watch the one just before it, because we released them at the same time, I believe, if everything goes as planned. And then in the future, Thursdays are recording, Tuesdays is release, and we should be able to be, a little more current, because you'll see we just talked about like the Olympics, but the Olympics feel like it's been last year at this point, right? Even though it's only a week ago.
And you're going to hear some things on it. Yep, for sure.
So we got to do that. So that's number one. Yeah. But then,
right on.
Okay, then we rewind again, or say, okay, what were we saying? I was saying, hey, James, how are you? Good. Everything's good. And then you were starting to tell a story about what you did. Took some time off and go.
So it's funny how this works. It's like we want to make sure our viewers know exactly what's happened, even if we could have came on and just pretended like we never did it before. But we're letting everybody know that we did some of that already, and we're doing it again. Better,
we're genuine people.
Better. We've got to be better.
Yeah, because it was getting a little slow. So you know what? You sound a little down.
So now I got a little bit more energy, right?
There you go.
Whatever.
Tell us about your vacation.
Yeah. So took a few days, and had a great trip. Quite honestly, it was just a handful of days. Friends of mine, Mike and Stacy, friends of mine and my wife's, they have a small little bungalow, no more than, say, maybe a little over 800 square feet, whatever. And they have, they have boys and whatnot and kids that come down as well. But spent some days in Seaside Park, New Jersey, right? Sort of in this little bungalow right on the water. And on the water, but short little walk. You pack up the cart and you go and you hang out and you go down to the beach and we just sit there. I'm not much of a sitter. I could sit for a little while. I know you're not much of a beach guy at all, but we've touched on that and we can again. But I sit for a little bit, get in the water a little bit. We play a lot of cornhole, a lot of beach games and whatever.
Bring it to the beach though.
Right at the beach. He's got
and this
boards.
Seaside is a boardwalk town. I mean, that's like one of the most famous Jersey Shore.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Towns, right? Yeah.
It's awesome. It's old school, right? So these bungalows were built long time ago, and it reminds me of the days when I was a kid, and I have 3 older brothers, and my parents used to get a place. It'd be in Wildwood or Lavallette or different areas in the Jersey Shore, but we would all pack in, right? Yeah. We would all sleep in like the same room. Nobody cared, Yeah, we'd fight and we'd smack each other. I'm the youngest of 4, so usually I got my butt beaten, but we would never care, right? Because we were right there, right? And sometimes family would be there. My mom would put on a pot of sauce. Maybe we'd go crabbing. She'd make a crab sauce and we would eat and we'd go to the beach and not a care in the world, man. So when we go down there, I love it. It is no frills. It is perfect. It's exactly as I want it. Mike's an awesome cook. He cooks on the grill. He got one of those new Blackstones, which I'm going to now be investing in or asking for one. But it's awesome. Those grills are amazing. So he was grilling and cooking. We bring down food, to kind of like, do our job. They're giving us a place to stay. Brought down some ribs and some chicken and some, some drinks and whatnot. But I had a blast, man. I had a blast. The weather was perfect. And it just reminded me, you don't need a lot, man. Like, keep looking at these vacations and I'm like, oh, everybody needs their own bedroom. Everybody needs their own room. And everybody needs this and that. And, oh, does it have a pool? And is the pool this and that? And do the rooms? Like, doesn't matter. Like,
you
just
go out to eat every single day.
I'm like, exactly. It's what we've done on these vacations compared to how it used to be when you would just get down there in the large station wagon. I was in the suicide seat all the way in back, waiting for the 18-wheeler to crash into me, telling them to honk, sit in the back like this, not realizing you're 3 inches from death as the 18-wheeler's pulling up on your tail.
If they can see you that clearly, is a problem.
Exactly. Right. But
it is a whole different thing.
It's awesome.
Do they still have the amusements and stuff like there, or is it mostly just relaxing?
If you go to the boardwalk, so where we are in Seaside Park, it's awesome. There's just bungalows and whatnot, and really we don't do the boardwalk or anything there. But they do have not too far away. The boardwalk's still there, and the amusement, the rides and things.
Piers,
I think it's been hit by some storms in the past, but they've rebuilt back up, and it's just awesome. It's so appreciative of doing it.
I love that too. I will tell you my favorite childhood memories are my grandparents.
Yeah.
I think just about every year when we were kids, they would take us to the Jersey Shore as well, but different part. They would take us to Asbury Park.
Yeah.
And Asbury Park was like, kitschy amusement. They did that their whole lives, and they translated that into when we were growing up. So we're talking about mid 70s, that type of time frame. So apparently, it used to be really, really nice. Then it started to deteriorate a little bit, like from a standpoint of getting a little more crime, but it's still really nice in the 70s. And the same thing. We'd go stay in what we thought was like a palace, right? Like these great hotels and this, and that. And we go on these fantastic rides and the boardwalk, and you get that. Just everything was so great. And so the to your point though, some years later, like when I was late in high school, just graduated high school, could drive, everything else, and took me and my cousins down for a nostalgia trip, right? And granted, like, the area had continued to become not as nice, okay, because it's older, whatever else. But it was all still there. Everything that it was still there at the time when we went, which was like early 80s, maybe mid 80s, something like that. And we tried to recreate all these things that, now that we're older. And we were like, is this
didn't work for you?
This is what we liked, It actually worked to an extent, but it was amazing to see how cheesy everything was, how like crap everything was. Like there's nothing really special about it. The rides were garbage. There was like the boardwalk was like this long. There's nothing to really do, but we loved it so much. We looked so forward to those trips, and it makes you think. To your point, like how as you get older, you start to maybe. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you care about things that are not as important,
they don't matter as much,
or I don't know, something about your childhood where everything is just like so great,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and then later it's like you start to realize what things are really about, and it's not so fun.
Yeah,
when you start to do that.
I think it's a matter of it's a couple of things, right? Like when you're young and you're doing that sort of stuff, I think it was a blast. My memory tells me it was a blast, right? That it was exactly what I wanted, and I was down at the shore, and it was this and that. I was probably complaining like every other kid that I was, in a tight space, or I was this, or my brothers were beating me up, and I wanted to do this or that, right? I mean, I remember my Skid Row tape I was listening to. I mean, I remember certain things when I was down there that I just absolutely loved, right? But I think as you get older, you kind of like, you look at it a little different. Now that you're planning it yourself and you're not just doing with the vacation your parents took you on, because that was what we did, right? Yeah. We didn't have big lavish. I wasn't on an airplane for the first time till I was 18 years old, right? Like I didn't fly places when I was growing up. I drove down to the shore, and that's what we did, right? And as you get older, you see bigger things and you want to do bigger and better. And it's not just about, the getting together as a family and having the meals and doing these things. It's about how do I do this and that, and whether or not it's about, hey, make sure I also let everybody know how great my place is or not. I don't know. I don't know if that's like an inner thing too.
But it might be the experiences, because like you said, like as a 6-year-old or 7-year-old, what have you experienced? Nothing. Yeah. So you go down to this place, and I'd go on this this silly kiddie whale ride, right?
Yeah.
And like, my God, I've never seen anything like this before. Yeah. But then as you get older, you see a lot more. So I guess these things don't have the same charm or whatever. Yeah. It's like they don't wow you anymore.
And I think when I think about what my parents had done prior, they went to the shore. So it's not like
right.
they knew anything. Like, this is what they did. This is how they spent their time with their family. And this is what they did. They got in a car and they drove, right? They weren't from lavish families where they were able to go to all different islands and cruises and do all sorts of stuff. They got in the car and they were lucky enough. They were both from Hoboken, New Jersey, and lived in Jersey. So they were lucky enough to be able to go right down to the shore and have a good time. Anyways, I loved it. And I love every time we go, even though it was just a handful of days, we go every year. It's kind of a tradition. Every year we spend some time with Mike and Stacey. They're awesome company, great people. And for me, there's always a little bit of that, nostalgia that kicks in. I'm like,
which I like that. I think that's probably it though, isn't it? Like, it's about being with people. I think that's the types of vacations that our parents took, right? It was like they were with family that they weren't with before. And our vacations now became like, first of all, you do it every year, which we never really, I don't think they ever really did that as when they were kids, right? No. But, big vacations at least. But then, you're always trying to like one up, and one up yourself almost like, well, I did this and I got to do bigger and I've already seen this. So that's boring now. So, and it like kind of loses the whole thing that it's really about, which is just going down and being with people that you love present. And you have nothing else to do, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really neat thing.
For sure.
It makes me want to do it now. So that's kind of cool, man. That's kind of cool.
It was awesome. And we went down, the two of us. And you think about it, and I want to be able to just get a little place and bring my guys down there and have them to go down with the boys. I hope I haven't spoiled my children so much that they would judge or complain or whatever.
You have. I guarantee you have.
But I'm pretty sure I have, which is why I haven't done it yet. Because I don't want to listen to them bitching the whole time.
That's right. We just went through this.
I don't want to do that.
I was going to take the kids up to, up in, I think like, I can't remember where we're going to go, like, maybe the Catskills or something like that. To be honest with you, there's like this museum I want to go to. Get this.
Is it a droid museum? Is it a microphone museum? What is it?
I mean, it's not an advertisement for them because I haven't been, but I want to go. It's a museum. It's a guy who apparently recreated the set of Star Trek. Like, oh, no kidding. But elaborately and perfectly. And then apparently got it like, licensed or able to show it because, Paramount or whoever owns Star Trek was like, we can. Yeah. This is good, and so you can make money off of it. Yeah. So I wanted to do this because I one of the Star Trek props, the episode where McCoy has to cancel heartbeats. Did you ever see? You're not a Star Trekky person, are you? No,
I was a Star Trek.
Do you remember
person,
him canceling the heartbeats? Like, because they were trying to find if there was more than just them on the ship, and they had a theory that someone was hiding, and so they sent everybody off the ship.
Vaguely remember
except
that.
whoever was on the bridge, and then McCoy goes and takes this heartbeat monitor, which actually ended up just being it was an old Shure microphone that they put this little thing on. Okay, and so I saw this thing. I was like, I think I know what that is, and I started researching it and everything else. And sure enough, it was this old Shure microphone. So it's like I could do this. So I ended up putting it together, and there was a guy online who had machined the parts to.
So you made the same
thing? I made this heartbeat reader. Yeah, I can actually. It's right over. I could show it to you.
Sometimes you're a much bigger dork than I thought.
Amazing dork.
I think you're an amazing human being, but sometimes your dorkhood is just skyrockets.
It's ridiculous.
That is,
in fact, you know what? I think I have to actually get it now, right? So because I guess this is going to cause more editing in the video, but I probably have to take a little small break, go get it, and then bring it here, right? That's what I have to do.
I think you have to.
Okay, so
I need to see how. Okay. I need to see this.
All right, I'm going to show it. We'll just wait a second. Hold on.
Yeah. Okay, I'm here.
Okay, we're back.
Thank goodness.
I got a little pep in my step. Okay,
yeah, so excited. Look at you. Your cheeks are rosy. You're like so excited to show and tell. This is amazing.
Lest you think that I do anything.
I just expected halfway. A little microphone. You've got that in a case. You've got that in a.
I've labeled it.
You've got it in a Star Trek case.
I do. Now,
James Tiberius Kirk would be very impressed by you right now.
Now, if you open it. You ready?
Can I see this? Can I see this? Yeah.
I've actually put the technical order in there just in case there was any.
This is amazing.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
No, wait. I gotta. You can't believe.
This is amazing. I'm so glad we're doing this.
This is because you know me well enough to know that this is a Bob thing, but
I know.
Not everybody else does. Look at that. You recognize it? So
Yes, totally.
This is the microphone. Now, I had to get the right one on eBay. Then this thing is, I had to paint. So this is like the ring that goes around, but I had to paint it, mask it, and then I had to. Now this is the real thing. So there's a guy online who's an equal nerd to me, I guess, and he machined this thing, and I saw it, and I was like, "Do you have any of these extras?" He said, "Yeah." So here it is, and.
Oh my goodness!
Clicks. And so literally, he's like, remember? So when he's on the bridge and he's like, "Okay, we're going to do your heartbeat," he goes. That's
yeah.
This is it.
Oh my goodness. Bob, that's amazing.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, that is. It's not as cool to me as it is cool to you. It's amazing that you've done this. It's amazing that you've worked on this.
Yeah,
and that you have it in its own pretty little Star Trek box.
But this is the mystery that is me, because I do these things for what purpose? Nobody really knows.
For fun.
Yeah, like I can't sit around. You talk about sit around. I can't sit around and watch TV and this. I do some of that, but not a lot. Like I've got to always be moving and doing things. So I got all these projects, and so this is my latest project. Anyway,
what drove you to do that? Like you just saw it somewhere? Is that what you said? Like you saw that it existed, somebody had done it. You started in the museum. I know we started with the museum piece on a lot of this. So what drove you to create that and really make that happen for you?
How did this happen? Well, because I'm a microphone collector and I build microphones. So that. And that's a whole other show until I have, tons of those. Mm-hmm. And I repaint them and I rebuild them. So like just a hobby I do. So
this was
so when I saw, so I'm part of these microphone builders, forums and things like that.
Association of America. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And somewhere I read that this particular microphone that I know, which
was used
for 585, right? Was used for that prop. And I was like, hey, I think I remember that. And so I went and I looked, and then what happens with me is I spiral into research mode, right? I go on website to website and then you find all this stuff out. And I'm like, I bet that I can put this all together, right? And then of course the clicking thing is the key. And so once I found that guy had done all that work and he had them available, just waiting for a person like me, that I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then, so it really wasn't that hard outside of that. That's the hard part. He did all the real hard work, but the rest of it is that.
That's cool.
So my plan was, how did we go there? So I was going to go into this Star Trek museum, right? This is like my trip. Yeah. And of course I can go with my heartbeat reader and take a little picture on the bridge.
You're not going to, you totally have to do that. Tell me you're doing that.
I want to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole point was we were going to go up for just a weekend or whatever, because it's not that, it's about 4 hours away or whatever. Yeah. So we go up for a weekend and do it. Sure. And so we say, hey, kids,
let's go do this. Do your kids or your wife enjoy Star Trek at all?
No. I mean, my wife will watch it with me just because she gets a kick out of this.
Right? Geeking out a little bit.
Right. But she wants to get away a little bit, and it's beautiful up there. I mean, it's like up in the middle. Beautiful. Yeah, it's like gorgeous upstate New York, like just past Lake George or whatever, that whole area. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
So like, and you know what? We'll splurge. You get a nice hotel, like on a lake, and just enjoy it for a day or two. And then I'll go to my museum, and we'll poke around the towns and do whatever, right? Like just a weekend getaway. And so, kids, you want to do this? Yeah. And we didn't go because a couple things happened, but not the least of which is like, there was virtually no excitement at all. It was like, well, what are we doing? We're going to go up and, spend time on the lake and then, get Star Wars, a Star Trek museum. Oh, why? Because, Dad wants to go to this museum.
This sounds fun. Let's take a trip.
Not a bit of that.
No excitement.
Like, Now the answer was, we'll go, but that was it. I was like, okay.
The whole time you'd feel like you have to prove to them that it's fun. Are you worried about them? Are they walking around? Hey, are you having fun? Having fun? And then if they're not, whatever for a minute, you're going to feel bad about it.
No, I get, I don't also, my daughter is a teenager and my son is a young adult. So I get it. Maybe they don't want to go on vacation with their parents or whatever else. But
My kids still want to go.
Well, they do, actually. I mean, they like spending time with us. I don't think it's that, because I think if they were 13 and, whatever, they'd still do this. And they used to do this all the time.
Yeah.
As like, why? The only place they always wanted to go was Disney. Disney was exciting for everybody, and we love it too. So it was fine.
Yeah, you love it. So that's your place. Yep.
But anything else, it's just like, what are we going to do there?
But maybe it's because they haven't been there before. You know what I mean? Like maybe because they haven't been there. Nobody ever talks about the Catskills. Nobody posts on Instagram about the Catskills.
Yeah.
But maybe that's part of it too. They just don't know. Maybe they would have had fun.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have had fun. But
I don't even know if that's the Catskills or not. It's not, is it? Is that the Adirondacks? Is that? I don't know.
I'm not really. I know I drove through the Catskills and up to Cooperstown, which was really cool.
Oh, then it probably is. It's up there. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
That area.
Cooperstown's great.
They're both great. I mean, all of it's wonderful. And at the end of the day, I would be like, but my point is, when my parents or my grandparents, when we were young, and we were young, but even at that age, I'd be like, yeah man, let's go. And why? Because we didn't go anywhere.
Exactly. Road trip. I'd be ready to go. There's no doubt about it.
We didn't do anything, right? Like, going out to eat, we never went out to eat, so it's like,
never.
So you mean we're going to go to Asbury Park, we're going to go in a hotel, we're going to go on these ridiculously crappy rides, we're going to go out to eat every night and be together? There's
big lights on the boardwalk,
nothing could sound better to me. I don't care what age I was, because we just didn't do that stuff. But now they're like, but wait a minute, didn't we just go on an Alaskan cruise? This is
I'm not going to lie to you. My kids would still love to go on the boardwalk.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm not funding their boardwalk habit. So I'm not, the next time we do go down to the Jersey Shore, which we will go again, it's going to be when they have a job and they're working a little bit more and some money, because
so like the
it's
games
ridiculous.
And stuff like that.
They want this and that. And next thing you know, you're like, it cost me this to stay down here. And then I'm spending $100 on, and you're coming home with a giant panda bear that's bigger than you are, that you're not going to fit in the car on the way home.
Nothing with.
Why? Why? A giant banana costume or something. I don't know what's going on, but all these things.
Well, that's the other thing too, is the buying. Like vacations have become, I mean, look, we've all been taken in by capitalism, right? But I mean, vacations have become as much about buying stuff as anything else. That's another thing that I don't remember. I mean, when I was young, we got one thing from our trips, right? And I remember, like, when I was really young, I got this blue whale. It was like this rubber blue whale. It was like, of course, there are no blue whales on the Jersey Shore that I know of, but whatever. Maybe there are. I'm not. But we got this rubber blue whale. I loved it. It was crazy. And then as I was older, I remember Asia. So this was probably 1980, but Asia, their first album.
Oh yeah,
their first album, and it was like some street vendor. It was clearly a not authorized.
Yeah,
but that was like
spelt wrong.
Yes, I think it was Asian. Yeah, come to think of it, but it was a great album, right? But that was like it. It was like you got one thing, and now we go on vacation. The kids get 12 souvenirs a day.
This is what gets me a little bit, though. Like, from my perspective. By the way, was that the Heat of the Moment album? Because that was the first album, one of the greatest albums ever. Yeah. But anyways, when I used to go and get something from these places, it always had a flair of wherever you were, right? Yeah. Like, it always had like a cheesy, bright colored Jersey Shore T-shirt or hat or something, right? Like, it said where you were. It said what was going on,
from
right?
Asbury Park.
You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
it was what it was, right? Wherever you were. Now they want to just go shopping. Like, hey, that's nice, and it's like and it's like, no, I'm not going to buy you that $75 sweatshirt, which I could get online for half the price and even less, at TJ Maxx when I get back home again. Right. But it's like that's the part that I don't get when they're on vacation. Like, get things to remember where you were. It was memorabilia stuff. I remember when we got this. I was at the Jersey Shore. I did this. Now they want to get, all this other expensive stuff. Want a new pair of shoes, and why? Because you're on the boardwalk. Like, I don't get it.
Or even stuff having to do nothing. Like, we went to Niagara Falls not too long ago, and my daughter was, younger teenager, but still. And what did we drive around looking for? An Ulta, literally the makeup store. Like we have three of them within 10 miles of us. And we're up in Niagara Falls. She just had to have this certain thing. I'm like, now, of course, she's probably got obsessed with things like I am. But so at the time she was thinking about whatever. But
yeah, my Caitlin's the same way.
But you go up there and you're like this. So we're literally driving around trying to find an Ulta. That's
like seriously, this is what we're spending time doing up in there because we can do this at home. Yeah, we can do this at home, right? Yeah, exactly. So it's maddening to me.
Yeah,
but it's all the time. It's vacations. You know what? I could talk about this stuff.
You should. This is what the show is.
Here's another problem that I have. Right, and it's still on the vacation side of things, but it's a little bit of an issue that burns me a little bit. Right. We here in the U.S. for the most part, at least myself, and I think most people around me in the work world and whatnot. You know, I took a week. Right, didn't work for a week, and I felt like when I got back, life was a little crazy. Right. Yeah. To be honest with everybody on this call, today's actually Friday, not Thursday. We typically do our recordings on Thursday. Yesterday was my first day back, and I just couldn't catch up. I couldn't have the time. I couldn't get my
like you were gone for a month, right?
Like I was gone for a month. Like I was gone for a month. And here's the part that gets me. Work with a lot of international people, right? And a lot of my different departments, engineering teams in Australia, different things like that. They take a month off every couple of months. They're like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to be out September. I'm like, what days in September? No, I'm going to be out September.
Easily once a year. Easily once a year.
Easily, but literally, I'm telling you, it's different, right? I think the Australian side, they believe. Again, the strongest are probably, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all. Their balance is very much life work, not work life, I would say, right? Yeah, and that's right? Because you don't know whatever's going to happen with a job, things like that. But there's a lot that goes on behind that. I'm not going to talk about the economics of the whole thing or anything like that. But they have month-long breaks at least once a year. And then I work with people in Europe, and it's the same thing, right? A lot of August, it's vacation time and things like that, right? With Australia, it's usually a little bit now and then more towards the end of the year. Nobody really works for a couple of weeks in January. A lot of these, but the balance is so much better outside of the U.S. That's my point.
Yeah.
The balance is so much better. I couldn't imagine being out for 3 weeks. I'd feel like I wouldn't come back to a job. And I may not.
Yeah.
If I did, right? I may not. But there's this comfort and there's this okay, and there's this understanding that people need breaks, mentally, whatever it may be. We need breaks.
And we actually kind of
chalk I don't feel like it.
We chalk it up to like a cultural thing, right? And we respect it. Because I remember when I used to work for an Italian company, and it was just known that like, oh yeah, I think it was August, July, or I think it was August. It was like August, they just don't work. So there's like don't bother anybody. And you're like, well, but everyone else is working. So, hey, that's just the culture. So like it's, and even with Chinese New Year, right? Chinese New Year, Chinese companies literally shut down and they'll put a notice like we are closed during this period of time. So, we'll get back to you when we're back. And it's almost like you just accept it because culturally that's what they've come to value.
For sure.
Which honestly is right. So why don't we have that, right? I think is the point. Why don't we have that same thing?
That's the point. And it's tough working and working with all these different cultures, we'll call it, right? That have this increased flexibility and understanding and knowledge and are, in my eyes, in a lot of cases, the more intelligent way to go about things. And we don't feel like we can,
Yeah.
And so you look and you're like, all right, well, I need a break and I need something like that, but do I have the flexibility to do that? And I think it's more than, this isn't just about me, right? This is life. I've worked at a lot of different corporate jobs and businesses and here in the States, businesses can tell you, open PTO policy, but really what does it do? It manages itself.
Yeah,
because people get upset if you're taking too much time, whether it's your teammates or your bosses or whatever, the open PTO is really, it's kind of a farce, to be honest with you, because, you're not open to really take it. After a certain amount of time that you're going to take off, usually you need more approval. And this is a cultural thing that I think we go through here in the States. And I think it's tough. Yeah. And I think it leads to some issues sometimes. It leads to the burnout. It leads to the
health issues,
the transitions,
the
health issues. Stress. But it leads to companies not keeping employees as long as maybe they could, and consistency in the workplace because people aren't feeling like they're giving their best or maybe aren't giving their best because because they're burnt out, right? There's just a lot of things that come up.
People being pissed all the time. I mean, how many,
for sure.
you really run into a lot of happy Americans? I mean, it's not like, not nowadays, right?
Not everyone's as happy as you, Bob.
No, that's right.
Not everyone's as happy as you.
That's because
you know
not everybody has.
That's right.
I've already put it back in the bag, by the way, just so we're clear.
I know. I'm surprised it's not in the box and you didn't maybe wait to put it back on the
crazy.
shelf.
It's like it's sitting here and then the box is there. I'm like, I can't wait for this to end. But
that's fantastic.
But I think that's right. And you know what really is the problem is this kind of unspoken, or sometimes even spoken, but let's call it unspoken guilt trip, right? We make each other feel bad for and it's only a way to pump ourselves up, right? Like people who do that, it's like, oh, well, I worked all week. How come you that kind of thing?
Do it.
I was like, okay, you're incredible. I mean, listen, I think all of the problems that I see with people in society right now, and I'll talk about America because that's where we live, right? Is that one sentiment, which is, well, I did this. It's like, oh, you're incredible, right? Like everybody is looking for the response to be, you're incredible. My God, what would the world do without you?
Proud of you.
You're so
exactly.
wonderful. No one as good as
so
you,
wonderful.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm looking over here. My camera is like, there's another camera.
I don't know. Somebody over there.
No, there's not. It's like I'm just a fake you, right? Anyway, here we are.
It came across well, actually. It was,
they didn't probably look at it. But it's like that whole sentiment, right? It's like, look at me. Look at what do you want? And so when you're putting other people down for taking some time off, you're doing it because you want to show everybody that you're so incredible and how, so I hate that.
Or it's envy.
Or it's envy. I guess it's always envy, probably, right?
Yeah, which is an evil thing too, right?
Evil.
Yeah.
But have you ever done it to anybody?
No. I think I had to think hard about that.
Yeah.
As a leader of people, definitely not. I've always been a leader that says, when you're off, don't communicate with me. I don't want to hear, because some people will also be like, well, I'm going to be online. I'm always available. So no,
right.
Break out, be done. If we can't function without you for a week or so, then we got bigger problems. Period. End of story. But, have I ever done the other? I don't think so, but maybe.
Yeah.
I hate to put it
like
definite down there, but
right?
I don't know.
I'd like to think I haven't, but I'm sure I have. And I'm sure I'd be called out by people who work for me that watch this would say, by the way, you've definitely done that. Because I think, again, it comes out to that insecurity we talked about last week.
Insecurities, yeah.
It's that insecurity. So if I'm insecure about my role as a leader, I don't deserve it. And so I have to pump myself up. What's the easiest way to do that is to put someone else down, right?
So put someone down.
So I'm sure I've done it.
Yeah.
But it's a dangerous culture, and it has become a culture. Just like taking Chinese New Year as a culture in China and taking the month of August off as a culture in parts of Europe. It's just that ours is negative. Right.
Like,
this has been a culture here that everyone's got to work and make everybody else feel bad if they're not doing it to the same level. And it's just not good. Yeah, it's just not good. So,
and it's cutthroat, right? It's cutthroat. It's an environment that's like, you've got to, what's your next move? And if it's at the expense of somebody else, and if I take off, is this person going to do this or do that? Or am I not going to? And part of that insecurity is maybe things are going to move on without me, and people are going to realize I don't need me, but somebody else could truly look at it and see opportunity, right? So
because there's somebody always clawing at you, right? It is a problem. Right. It is a problem. It is very cutthroat, and so that lends itself to it. But all of that to say, it's a very unhealthy environment. There's no doubt about it, because we always feel bad about taking off. And then even when you're taking off, what are you doing? I mean, you're checking your this and that because you're afraid that somebody's going to call you out.
And there's a key point too. I mentioned the Australian side of things and their flexibility and ability to take these long. Their employment contracts are different.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things economically and financially. There's different things that take place in Australia, right? They cover their insurance, and retirement is covered a lot more by the country as a whole. But there's also different, they're not really like an at fault. Like, you don't need to have they're longer, so they feel more comfortable.
Right. They're not worried about getting fired,
because you can't just turn around and get laid off. It's a much more difficult process for that to take place. Could take up to a year at times. So there's all of that too that leads to the making of someone feeling comfortable versus here, you could come back and say, oh, we're just eliminating your position. As long as we don't create that position again or name it a little something different, then we can just get rid of you for no reason at all.
Yeah.
Right. So which was a little bit
like it's going out of style in America.
I know.
We've eliminated your position. But you just posted a job.
Isn't that title almost nope, I changed the first letter of that first word and therefore it's a different position so I can hire someone.
Right.
That's it.
But you've done a great job and we're
but really it's
service.
not on you. I'll write you a good recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you for your service. And
thanks. Yeah. So but they're half the price.
You've decided to retire. I didn't decide to retire, actually. When did that? I'm 23.
Exactly. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, but that's
true.
It's a good point. I really is a good point. And if I'm being honest, it's probably why I haven't taken as many true vacations. My best vacation, I joked about Alaskan cruise. I did go on Alaskan cruise, but when I did it, it was when I was between jobs. It was like I had decided to leave my corporate job and start, something smaller or be in something smaller. And so I had like a couple of weeks between those jobs. I was like, taking a cruise because I knew that was the one time I could like just not think about anything.
About those cruises.
And it was so good in so many ways, but I made a rule and now I don't think it's as much, but then it was hard to get in touch with people on boats, right? I mean, it was
there was
it wasn't as good
Wi-Fi everywhere.
Service, whatever else wasn't as good. So, and that kind of forces you into really and truly disconnecting. And so I kind of used that. I mean, of course there were places you could connect, but I used that. I said, I'm not going to. Really, like my phone is not needed here, right? Because my immediate family's all here.
My loved ones are here,
right? I mean, it's not to say I don't love
Yeah.
other people, but if something happened to anybody else, there is nothing I can do, right? I'm not going to helicopter off the boat, and so like literally everything that I means the most is right here.
Yeah,
there's nothing that I need to get in touch with outside. And so I did that, and it was the best vacation I've ever taken in my entire life because of that. It was really good. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's about being present, and we can talk about that forever, but those vacations are great.
Yeah.
When you can just tap out and you can take it and you can do it and get your mind right and be away from everything. I wish we could do it more.
I wish we could do it more.
And I think I need to, and maybe I got to put it on myself. And maybe there's no one else to blame but myself. And not doing it more or given the ability, but I try to take time. I try to do certain things, but I just think that I wish it was more. For me, I wish it was just more of a cultural thing. I think you said it best, right? I wish it was more something we as a culture and as a country really appreciated and knew that. Hey, you're going to get better humans. You're going to get better workers. You're going to get better people when you let them refresh and get away from the work and let them know it's not the be all end all.
Don't accuse them of being lazy or this or that because they want to get away, right? It's like it's not the right thing to do. So,
and that's what I would say, right? If you're leading a team or you're doing something or you're coaching a team or let them know that it's important. Let them know that if you really are looking out for their best interest and you want them to bring the most value and you want them to be happy and you want your team to function the best, I would put it out there to say you want them to be the most productive as well.
Yeah.
You have to give them the break sometimes because we get caught in this cycle, in this loop of a job sometimes, and our best self isn't showing up.
Right.
Our best self isn't showing up, and that's just the way it is.
Right. And if you're one of those people that like expects everybody to work as hard as you are because you have put work above everything else,
it doesn't mean everybody else is going
to. I understand that that's not, other people have other priorities and, may not match with yours. And you know what? Let them take the vacation and get promoted. That's fine. Do your thing, right? Like
exactly.
But leave people alone. I think that's a good thing. Well, I like this because we started off Beyond the Beef a long time ago with solutions and saying we want to. And this is kind of a solution because at the end of the day, when these are real things that you're bringing up, that is a cultural problem, and so I think we have to have more understanding on both sides. So if you're on the employee side, and take your breaks. Unashamedly, is that a word? No, without shame.
It is.
Unashamedly. Take your breaks,
but take them anyway.
Right?
Take them anyways.
Whether you have shame, but
without shame.
Yeah, without shame. And then for the bosses, for the companies, like, come on, stop guilting people. Leave people alone, right? Because you know what else? It kind of takes away from like when they do have legitimate complaints about people not working hard, which does happen as well.
It sure does.
If you're picking on the vacation stuff, then it's going to basically negate everything else that you're saying as well, because it just means that you're an ass. So,
True indeed.
Right. So just stop, just stop.
That's right.
Save your anger for the real problems.
That's right. That's right. And as much as some of these islands are beautiful, and as much as some of this stuff is beautiful that we have the ability to do these days and places we're able to see and whatever, forget about your pictures and all this stuff and just get out to the old places, right? Get out to those places that you liked as a childhood. Realize that stuff is, it's still great.
Be with your family.
Right? Untap a little bit. Be with your family. Laugh.
That's awesome.
Enjoy. It's not about how much you spend and the lavish this, and this.
Totally agree.
It's about being together and laughing and being unplugged from the electronics and just plugging into your family and your kids and your spouses, partners, whoever it may be. It could be your pet, for all I care, but just unplug and be present.
Be present. It's all
good stuff. Being happy.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, by the way, it is the pet, because people, I know, the kennels now have the cameras and you can watch. You seen this before?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness.
For sure.
My family member, I guess I shouldn't. They have dogs. They put them in the kennel and they're watching the dogs, on the cameras. It's like, the dogs are fine. Let's leave them alone.
Yeah. You can see everything. You can
see everything. And then, of course, things you shouldn't be seeing, are they feeding them right? Are they doing this right? It's fine. Leave them alone.
It probably would have helped a little, though, if there was a camera when you were in there with Frosty, though, right? Like maybe somebody could have been like, hey, slow down. Don't let him do that. If your wife was maybe watching you before you.
I would have just held his paw up and back. Bye.
Bye, Mom. I told that story, by the way.
Everybody tells that story.
We were crying.
Story.
We were crying. It didn't stop. It's just funny after funny. For those of you that are wondering, by the way, it was on the last. The one that it'll be on Tuesdays, right?
Well, it's going to be on the Catch Up Tuesday. So
the Catch Up Tuesday.
Watch the one that we just released before this.
It tells you all about Bob's awesome experience with
I got real problems, James.
With Frosty.
Is this therapy?
Yeah.
I think this show is that what it is. That's why I enjoy it so much.
Totally.
Putting it all out there at this point.
It totally is. But hopefully it is for others too, because I know we're not the only ones that think this way or do these stupid things.
I'm just going to be
You
real.
may be the only one that's built, the heart monitor.
Clearly
from,
not,
Star Trek
because I didn't. Somebody else built the bottom.
That's true.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's a nut everywhere for everything.
I did love Star Trek, by the way, but it doesn't mean I built those sort of things. I watched the old school. That's why I knew it's.
Well, that was me too. Yeah, I only watched season 1.
Old
That's
school.
It.
Yeah.
Oh, not season 1. The original series.
Yeah, the original series. I mean, I watched some of the next ones too. I did get into a little Jean-Luc Picard as well.
Oh, you did? I never did.
Stuff like that too. But James Tiberius was the man. I mean, he pulled the ladies. Alien or not, he didn't care.
Well, and just the culture that was so different. Some of the things that they what does that have to do with space travel at all? And all of a sudden he's
be fighting a battle and making out with some green alien at the end of the show. Right? What is happening here?
The things he would say to them, if he did that today anywhere, you'd be like, canceled. Yeah, oh my goodness. But it was, all in good fun. And I think, classic. So, but I'm going to go to that museum. And so now I have to, right? Because I put it on Beef. So we're doing it.
How far is it? About 2 hours?
4 hours. 4 hours, yeah.
4 hours.
But
you're going to go by yourself?
I hope not, James. Well, maybe I'll go with you.
Let me know. This would be a trip. This would be a road. We'd have to do it. We'd be on Beef on a road, by the way.
That would be really good. Yeah. We'd have to take a camera, and do.
Yeah, I know. We'd have to take our microphone. I don't know if it ever worked for you. If it would never work for you, by the way, because the sound wouldn't be as good as you wanted it to be. But
I think I have a microphone. Because all I have to do is take the bottom off. It's still a working microphone.
Oh my goodness! Could you imagine if we did it literally in that microphone too? This could be something. This could be a
all right,
thing.
we got all kinds of things to think about.
Yeah, we got lots of good stuff.
All right, well, I think that's pretty good. We're going to leave it there. Yeah. I don't know how we come up with this stuff, but it ends up being another good one. So, I don't know. We'll see.
They'll have to let us know.
They'll have to let us know. So, anyway, thank you again for joining. Again, don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, do everything else, trying to spread the word. And, it's going slow, but you can help us to change that. So while you are helping us to change that, we will see you on the next episode of
Beyond the Beef.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thanks, guys.